We got a brand new episode of the Broad and Forever podcast. I'm your host, Shamus Clancy, Deputy Sports Editor of Voice.com. I am joined, as always, by my guy Zo. Zo, early happy holidays.
Yes.
Everything
Yes,
still hungover from pen and pencil last week.
yeah.
What's the vibe for you right now?
Still hungover from pen and pencil.
What a great spot that is.
Yo, seriously. A huge shout out to them. Shout out to Ellie and that team for inviting us down. They did invite us back for other stuff, so we'll be knocking on their doors again soon. But yeah, big time. Shout out to obviously we got to spend some time with Tyler, get a little banged up.
He handed me a shot of something. It was a higher grade of bourbon or whiskey than I would have bought. So I'll say that at least. So thank you, Tyler, to that.
I will tell you. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, LA Times, because that was certainly a great.
Yeah. Thank you, LA Times, I think is maybe the better way of saying it.
But just happy early holidays, man. I feel like, this time of year, the best way I like to explain it is the days are, they're colder and they feel shorter, but that last, I like to call it that last 10 days before Christmas is the fake. It's like nobody does any actual work. Like,
oh yeah,
everybody's checked out already. Like next week is the last full work week of the year. Like, I mean, everything slows down. It's certainly an opportunity to catch your breath and check in to see what dumb shit Micah Parsons has said.
Remember at my last office gig, I've talked about I used to work at Urban Outfitters at their headquarters down in the Navy Yard in South Philly. And Christmas week, I guess maybe the 23rd was like a Wednesday or Thursday or something.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, at 3 o'clock, you can close your laptop and leave. And I closed mine at 3 o'clock. I'm the only person left on my team. And like the big boss was like, can you finish that? And I was like, and it's one of the company sucked because I worked there for 2.5 years. I didn't get a single ounce of feedback, good or bad. I didn't know if I was doing a good job, a bad job, a mediocre job. I mean, deep down, I knew I was doing a bad job, but they never told me if I was doing anything. And I was like, man, I need to get out of this fucking office.
Yeah,
and I'm glad I did.
But they didn't tell you. It's like one of those jobs where all you did, you showed up and you did it, and you had an idea of how it was going, but like that's all you had was your own internal thoughts because they never even cared to do like a one-on-one or something with you.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. Oh man, got a holiday party this week at my parents on Saturday. I'm excited for that.
Nice.
Have some cold ones. Enjoy a little bit. We got tough.
You guys have a Philly voice party?
No, we do not. Perhaps in the future, maybe I could suggest that.
Yeah, or like a. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people.
A little happy hour action, maybe.
I think a lot of people are, are kind of sidestepping the full party for like a team happy hour or something.
Yeah,
which is like very. I feel like that's appropriate. Like something where you don't have to commit to 3 hours, but like you want to come and hang out for an hour, get a free drink or two, and then be on your way.
Yeah. So what are we going to talk about? Micah Parsons. The Eagles are 12-1. Go up to the Meadowlands. I was there my first time as a media member in the Meadowlands. Eagles smacked the Giants 48-22. Score doesn't even indicate as much of a dominant performance as it was, even though that's a crooked number they put up on them. Just unbelievable performance. Offense, defense. Brandon Graham feasting, looking like a Super Bowl self. Jalen Hurts continuing his performance as the MVP, frontrunner, the betting market favorite. Don't ask Stephen Ruiz at the Ringer. Don't ask Stephen Ruiz that, but he is, and I think at minimum, he's going to finish in the top 2 in MVP voting.
Easily.
The NFL, just to clarify, it's not like the NBA and MLB where you have, third or fourth place votes. You only vote for one person in the NFL, but I do think if Mahomes does win, it ain't going to be a clean sweep. So I imagine Jalen is a top 2 MVP finisher. He would be the first Eagle to do that since McNabb in 2000, McNabb's second season under Andy. Coincidentally, it feels like that's a running theme for the Eagles quarterbacks in my career. Yeah. A quarterback's second year in the same offense. We saw it with Donovan. We saw it with Carson. Seeing what Hurts now. really start gelling when you hire a great offensive-minded head coach. You did Sirianni, and I think Shane Steichen. The way people talked about Frank Reich in 2017, I think that was a little overblown. I think that's very true of Steichen, and that's on a slight to what Sirianni's doing at all. That's just a statement about that guy seems like next man up. If I'm any team, if I'm a team that's picking in the top 5, if I'm a team that thinks they're going to acquire a big-name quarterback via trade this offseason, he is the guy I'm pinpointing, without a doubt right there.
I feel like the MVP conversation / hunt, it feels a lot like what Joel Embiid went through this past years. Like the idea of it's less about, it's us here, like pleading almost with everyone to look at just how much he does for our team.
Yeah.
And everyone else nationwide saying, yeah, it's nice, but, all we get is but, like the national folks, like, yeah, but Mahomes, Jokic, so like, I feel like there's just, I honestly, I don't know if it's like, maybe this is a weird thing to say about the 5th largest media market in the country, but maybe I do think that it's some sort of like the way our athletes are covered in general, where our teams are covered. You know what I mean? Like
I do.
And obviously you would know better than me.
I think the world is conspiring against us, and I've thought that for a long time.
Yeah, it's the truth. I totally think that. I totally think that people always look for a way to discount Philly teams, Philly players. I mean, look at the Phillies. People literally would rather say that
the 100 win teams that make it thing.
Right.
That was just...
right. Oh, the Braves were just weird. The Cardinals just had the Cardinals just weren't hitting. The Padres just weren't hitting. Instead of the Phillies were the best team. The Phillies just got lucky, just super lucky. Well, no shit. That's what like half of sports is, getting lucky. The other half is having a $500 million payroll that plays the way it's supposed to play when it comes down to it. When you get to September and October, like it's so weird. They never want to give us credit for anything.
The Mahomes thing, I get Mahomes is without a doubt the better quarterback. If one of the most talented players I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I think regardless of sport, and I don't think that's hyperbolic at all. This isn't the MVP award. Isn't the who are you taking number 1 overall on a Madden franchise expansion draft award. It's who is the most valuable player specifically during the 2022 NFL regular season.
Yeah.
Mahomes will go down in history as probably, I don't think it's crazy to say, even though some Eagles fans be like, what? Mahomes will go down in history as a better quarterback. He will go down in history as one of the best quarterbacks to ever live, maybe one of the best NFL players overall. But it's about this specific season. And as much as some people might want to say it, it's very much so, and this goes across all sports, a narrative-based award. And I think the narrative for Jalen is so perfect. You have the aspect of counting stats, very much so in his favor. Advanced stats, EPA, stuff like that, very much in his favor. Something that's never really been in his favor in his NFL career so far. Have the team success. They're the best team in the NFL, top to bottom. They have the best record. I am expecting them to be 14-1 going into the final 2 weeks of the season and resting their guys. And they'll go, 14-3 or whatever it is, 15-2. But Jalen Hurts starts 15 games this year, wins 14, loses 1, and that 1 loss ain't because of him for sure. So you have the team success element and the narrative. Is there any player you've seen go through some of this stuff before? I'm not talking about necessarily some off the field personal tragedies or anything like that. I don't want to get it twisted. But the climb, the grind, the ups and downs from the time he was 17, 18 years old to now is unbelievable.
Yeah.
SEC Freshman of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year in 2016, 2017 leads Bama to the title game, gets benched at halftime, watches his backup throw the game-winning touchdown to his current wide receiver. Comes back to Bama next year, fights for the job, doesn't get it, has to come in relief in the SEC championship game, and does the thing, leads them to the win, and gets them back there again. But he loses his job. Next year hits the transfer portal. Goes to Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley's offense, it doesn't even compare to what Jalen was doing at Tuscaloosa. The efficiency numbers, the passing numbers. In addition, I think he rushed for, I want to say, 1,251 yards or something like that at Oklahoma that season in 2019, finishes the Heisman runner-up. Eagles draft him to be a backup. When the Eagles drafted him, the best case scenario in his mind, in their mind, Howie Roseman, front office, organization, ownership, was that he wouldn't play a snap on his rookie contract unless it's one of those week 17, week 18 meaningless games, right?
Stephen A. Smith called it a wasted pick.
I think I didn't like the pick at the time, and that was less about Hurts than it was the idea of drafting a quarterback.
Yeah.
Going up into that draft, I thought it was funny that people thought of Jalen Hurts as a day 3 pick. This really isn't supposed to be a revisionist history thing, and I think at the time I saw a guy saying, I think it's so weird, and this is in 2020, I'm saying this, looking up at that draft process.
Yeah.
In 2016, in retrospect, it's really weird Dak Prescott was a 4th-round pick, right? It doesn't make any sense. I wasn't as into the draft process as I have been the last handful of years as a full-time media member. I was a senior in college then, fucking around being an idiot. I don't understand how that slip happens. And when I saw Hurts projected as a round 3, round 4, round 5 pick, I had the same inclination. And obviously the Eagles felt that to an extent. The obvious comparison was to the way they passed on Russell Wilson in the 2012 draft. Don't get whatever, and I think that haunts them a little bit. And then the rookie season comes in. Wentz given the cold shoulder. Understandably, that's going to happen. He's a competitor. They're both competitors. Gets the job. Plays valiantly on a bad team.
Yeah.
Has some really nice performances. The Saints game, his first career start, he wins. Rushes for over 100 yards. Cardinals game had a fantastic passing performance in that game. Throws a few touchdowns, runs one, crushes Buda Baker to run into the end zone in Arizona. Looks okay at times, looks bad at times. That Dallas game he plays in week 16.
Yeah.
Bad game for him, unquestionably. Goes into last season. Everyone wants to move on from the guy. Has a lot of critics during the year. They try to throw the ball a lot early in the season. Doesn't really work. Switch to a run-heavy attack, which was smart because Lamar's been banged up and hasn't really been himself since his MVP season. Right now might be the best rushing quarterback in the NFL, and that's saying something with the way Lamar Jackson is as an athlete. This offseason, got them to the playoffs last year, played poorly in the postseason. Everyone on the Eagles did. More rumors. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, everyone under the sun comes back in and is not just an elite rusher. He's an elite passer from the pocket now. What more of a come-up story could you possibly want? What narrative is better? We are on Disney Channel original movie bullshit right now, the way they're grinding and riding their way to the Super Bowl.
I personally love, I think what I love the most is he does let everything fall by the wayside in terms of the criticisms and what he's hearing and stuff like that. Or at least if he doesn't, he does a really, really damn good job of hiding it. He's a guy who seemingly, not only wants to win, but is literally willing to do whatever it takes, and that includes being, the brunt of all of the, this team's good enough to win, except. And you think about it, that's all he's been hearing. He's been hearing for I guess, the past, 4 years.
Yeah.
This Bama team is good, except this Oklahoma team is good, except, this Eagles team can be a Super Bowl contender, except. And listen, he is not just erased, but obliterated all of the excepts,
Yes.
in these past 15 weeks. He's someone who you can tell clearly is the outright leader of this team. He is the motor. They go exactly as it goes. You got guys in that locker room who have Super Bowl rings who look at him like he's the one with 2 or 3 rings.
Yes.
Like, they go literally as he goes. They follow his every single word on and off the field. And I don't know what more, any detractors need to see. He's going to get paid this summer, and he absolutely has earned it. You can stop right. The season ended today, and they said we're not having the playoffs this year. He still has earned the payday coming to him this summer.
Absolutely.
I think that he is someone who has solidified himself as this team's quarterback for the next decade. Hopefully, health and all that stuff, withstanding. But I am impressed. I'm ridiculously impressed with the guy. I think he has shown terrific moxie. I think he's a terrific leader. And I think that they are, without a doubt, going to make a ton of noise in the playoffs with him.
What I loved about Jalen when he came on the scene was without a doubt the intangibles and leadership. And I don't want this to make an anti-Carson thing, because obviously it's fun to make fun of Carson. I was a huge fan at one point in time. I've written about him a million times. But in the aftermath of the Super Bowl and aftermath of the Foles era, or the Foles 2.0 era, I really was okay with riding and dying with a guy with the intangibles, with the leadership. I think I'd rather go to war with that guy if I was the Eagles.
Yeah.
And I think we were both pretty big Hurts people even last season on some other podcasts we've done on Twitter. Proponents of him believed in him, were fine riding into the season with him, provided there were some other upgrades, and there absolutely fucking were on that offense all around, on the defense too, to create this coalescence to this perfect storm of an unbelievable team. Really, maybe the best Eagles regular season team I've seen in my life. Yeah. Really, and that's not I don't think that's recency bias. It's not a detraction for what 2017 was, which 2002 was, 2004 was, whatever. And there was, like you said, there's always a but with him, where, even people in my life who I thought, family, friends who were Hurts detractors, didn't believe on him in terms of the arm talent, were like, hey, head up. He is absolutely, without a doubt, the perfect quarterback. Right. And I think that's, even people who weren't believers in him could understand that. But when the caliber of player and passer have caught up with the caliber of running and person and leader, that is a dangerous proposition for the rest of the NFL.
1,000%. I think that what they hoped would happen didn't happen. I think a lot of people were hoping to be proved right, that he was going to fail, or like he was a system.
People just want their pre-draft takes to be right. It's all bullshit.
People want all their pre-draft shit to be true. I told you. I wrote this article back in 2019 about Jalen Hurts. See, I was right. Blah blah blah. And it's not. What people are seeing is what everyone else who believed in him from day one is saying. He just needs a system that's consistent. He's had 6 coaches in 6 years? Starting with high school. Like, all he needed was a chance. All he needed was a system that was consistent. All he needed was a coach and, a literally an offense that was built starting with him down. And he's got it.
Now that you mentioned scheme and coaching, good segue into probably the most heated topic amongst Eagles fans in the media right now. Cowboys pass rusher, defensive end, linebacker, whatever you want to call him, Micah Parsons. Not a Penn State guy. I like to have fun with that. I have a lot of Penn State friends in my life, so it's fun to be a hater sometimes, right? So it was out on him. Obviously plays for, again, I can't be an Eagles fan or the way that I may have been in the past with my job, but I still think I am very much allowed to be this person who hates fucking everyone else, like the Cowboys. It's still fun to I get my rocks off hate writing about them.
Totally fair.
So not the world's biggest Micah Parsons guy, understandably. And he goes on Von Miller's podcast talking about the Eagles. And Von's asking whether this situation for the Eagles this year, this 12-1 run where Hurts looks like an MVP and this offense and defense all over are stacked and just playing unbelievably. The pass rush, the secondary, the wide receivers, the offensive line, the coaching staff, everything. And Von is trying to get Parsons to say, well, is this Hurts? Is Hurts doing this, or is this scheme and team dependent? And while I'm not going to take his quotes out of context, Micah didn't specifically say it's not Hurts, it's not this, it's not that. He very much was on the saying it's scheme and team. and wanted to kind of bait Micah, or I should say Micah wanted to bait Vaughn into making a more definitive statement,
Right.
because he knows he really can't make one.
Yeah.
And foolishly, this feels like some sort of thing we learn in Latin too, this figure of speech. He said something without really saying it himself, and that almost makes it worse. And the Eagles responded in the locker room today in press conference. I wasn't there at Eagles practice today at the Novacare Complex. It's my day off. But they asked Jalen some question about it in his press conference. He said, I'm worried about the Chicago Bears. We play the Chicago Bears on Sunday, dismissing everything about what will happen on Christmas, about Parsons' comments, Dallas rivalry, all those things. And then one thing I really liked that was like an oh shit moment for me, like, oh, they're not going to say it, but they're fucking pissed off. I don't know if you saw it. I'm sorry to the reporter who tweeted it. I don't want to discredit them. I don't remember who said it, but it was a picture of Jordan Mailata in the locker room after. And he said, we play the Chicago Bears on Sunday. We don't play the Chicago Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
And Lane Johnson tweeted a picture of the popcorn, eating the popcorn.
Oh, man, yeah.
Obviously.
That's going to be the worst or best game of regular season game of the majority of Eagles' lifetime, fans' lifetime.
Oh, yeah. I think that, I think that Jalen's saying the right things, and I think that he
doesn't, right?
He never doesn't say he never not says the right thing. I think he believes it. He is, preparing for the Bears, but I also think that his teammates are, pissed off enough for him.
Oh yeah.
That, they don't. It's okay if they slip up, but they haven't either. I'm sure that. They know him, so they respect the fact that he's like, "Look, we're on to the Bears. They're on to the Bears. They got to beat the Bears on Sunday, and then Dallas week comes, and then, the talking starts." But one thing that I will, and it's weird because I feel like other teams have done this to the Eagles, but I don't know who it was, so I won't put a name to the person who tweeted it. But there was a response to the actual story, where someone said, if this was the Eagles being asked about, if this was any Eagle being asked about Dak Prescott, not one Eagle would say that.
I agree.
Right now, one Eagle would say, "Oh, he's a product of their system." They will all say he's having a great year because he's a great quarterback type stuff. But it's weird that, and I think this feeds directly into how the rest of the league sees him. It's the fact that they were both very comfortable in insinuating that he's a product of the system tells you exactly how the rest of the league sees him.
Yeah.
Your peers tell you exactly how everyone else sees
him.
Sure. Them, looking at him like that. And I'll never forget, Pat Beverly was on, shout out to Roan.
Yeah.
Pat Beverly was on Roan's podcast, and he mentioned that he thought that Embiid was the most powerful and the best center in the NBA. And I think that when your peers see you, how your peers describe you is exactly how everyone else sees you. So I feel like that game, oddly enough, is probably going to be the most important game of the year for them.
Yeah. I don't get the scheme thing. I can understand that the team aspect. This is an unbelievable team.
Oh,
top to bottom, which is a credit to Howie Roseman, which is a credit to everyone. Right. But they're not doing this if Gardner Minshew is the quarterback. And I think Gardner Minshew is the best backup quarterback in the NFL. Do you know what I mean? Miles Sanders isn't having this season. And I've been kind of a Miles skeptic during his career. Not even close having his best season of his career, is getting himself out of the Eagles' price range. He's playing so well. He's not doing that as a runner. If it isn't for Jalen's capabilities as a runner, that contorts every defense on all those options. Exactly. And this scheme, what is the scheme? It's a scheme about an elite running quarterback who now has pinpoint accuracy on slants and deep balls, can make calls at the line. This is a ultra specific scheme tailored to one very, very unique player, maybe the most unique quarterback in the NFL. That doesn't mean he's the best quarterback in the NFL or the most talented, but in terms of skill set, extremely, extremely unique. So he is the scheme. The scheme's built around him. They had a different scheme last season. They came into the season with this scheme. It didn't work for Jalen. They adjusted it on the fly. Steichen started calling plays. It was run heavy. And then this offseason, they're like, let's mesh what he's doing well and his improvements this offseason with his accuracy with what we saw, we could absolutely dominate at an historic level with the running game.
Right.
That's exactly what they're doing, and that's why they're 12-1. It's the most obvious case ever of it's both. They have an elite scheme. They have an elite team. Steichen's going to be a head coach next year. Sirianni should win Coach of the Year. Hurts should win MVP. It's a cliche, but you got to quote Jason Kelsey at the parade. It's the whole fucking team.
The whole fucking team. Like, I just think it's extremely obvious that people are waiting to say I told you so about this team.
Oh my
God. It's even weirder because they're not even like they're just having fun. They're not shit talking. They're not saying, we're already Super Bowl champs.
There's no Super Bowl shuffle happening or anything.
Right, there's no Super Bowl shuffle. There's no electric slide. Like they're just beating people. They're beating who you put in front of them, and they're saying, you know what? We're excited about the next opportunity. Next opportunity is Sunday to beat the Bears.
Yeah,
that's it. And then the next opportunity after that is to wrap up the division, and then you go into the playoffs as healthy as you can be. Like, there is a overwhelming aura of I can't wait to watch the Eagles fail, and it's weird this year because this is a team that you actually like. There's been other teams I feel like we all looked at and said, there's a lot of unlike about this team, but whatever, you know what I mean? But this team,
Jalen seems like a very likable player. This seems like again we have a biased perspective. You as an Eagles fan, me as someone who's around the team all the time. Likable crew, and I'm sure there have been a lot of Eagles teams out there, and even in the last 5-10 years, who the fan base has absolutely friggin' loathed.
Right.
I think in 2012, 2015, 2011, 2012. This isn't a unanimous thing. The Philadelphia does not always love their team. They do not always love the Eagles.
Look across the street. I don't understand how we don't all unanimously love anything in this city, and we all love this team. And that is, I should tell you exactly how we feel.
Yeah.
It's very weird. And I just think that, to put a bow on it, they're doing exactly what they need to do. They're on to the Bears, and then we'll worry about Dallas after the clock hits 0 on Sunday.
Eagles are going to Soldier Field on Sunday, 1:00 game, Week 15
matchup. Be cold.
I only kind of travel for those close games that you could do a little quick drive. I went down to Landover, Maryland for Week 3 against the Commanders. First game against Wentz, maybe last game against Wentz. Who knows?
Yeah.
Went up to the Meadowlands this past week. Quick aside, I did that cheesesteak article. The tweet blew up. I was for those who didn't see on Twitter or on PhillyVoice.com, I was walking in by the media entrance, the Meadowlands. Obviously, I got there super early, just being an anal person. I don't know how the drive's going to be. I don't know about traffic. That's just the way I roll. And I'm walking in. The concourse isn't necessarily open to fans, or the eateries aren't open. But I saw the original New York Cheesesteak Company, and I texted my editor, Evan Macy, or my boss, whatever you want to say. I said, look, I'm going to buy one of these and do a review of it. And it was absolute slop. The roll was terrible. Meat was dry. Cheese was tasteless. It was an imitation version of imitation cheese. Did
you finish the whole thing?
No. So I wrote in the article. So they did they try to cut it in half, but they did it's just as if they bent it for 5 seconds. That was the cut in half. Yeah. So I kind of had to rip it in half, and it went like a 60-40.
Okay. Yeah.
So I ate the 60%, and I take a bite of the 40%. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Who the fuck am I finishing this for? I feel like a fat piece of shit. The thing is, if you eat a cheesesteak at home, a place that you love, a place that means something to you,
right,
you don't necessarily have that guilt because it's an indulgence for you and you enjoy. So now I'm indulging in one of the most unhealthy foods you could possibly eat, and it's fucking terrible. Yep. I'm like, what am I? I'm like, is this what my life is? I'm just like, this is what it's come to. This is what I'm fucking doing with myself. So I just wrapped it up and tossed it. It was $14, which, to be honest, I thought it was going to be more expensive. So I don't think it was the most cost prohibitive item ever. But I go there. The concourse opens at 11, but I'm allowed to walk in with the press badge.
Right.
Woman is cutting up cheesesteaks at one cheesesteak stand. I was like, hey, can I get a cheesesteak? And they're like, we don't open until 11. It was 10:55. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I'm not going to stand there for 5 minutes. So I just kind of take a lap around the concourse. And I find another cheesesteak place, and it's 11:05. And I was like, I don't want to go back to that same person because I look like an asshole. So I'll go to this person. It's said, hey, can I get a cheesesteak? And they're like, we're not going to be open for another 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, I look like this asshole walking around the stadium with his leather duster on who can't function on game day without a slop-ass cheesesteak.
What up, my sloppy steak?
Well, hey, fellas, no sloppy steaks tonight.
No sloppy steaks tonight, fellas.
I complete the lap and go back to the original spot. It's about 11:20 now. I see someone ordering in that thing. I'm like, great, I don't have to fucking ask. I go there and pretend like I didn't go there earlier, like as if I had no idea who they were. Get it, go back to the media room, eat it. Oh man, it was just bad. But it was funny. Like, it was a fun experience. I got to write it. It's just how crazy the media industry is. I think that did more traffic than any of the Eagles specific articles I wrote.
Yeah. Well,
that's just how it is.
Yeah,
that's just how it is. Right?
Yeah, people were just more. I think people were just more consumed with the fact that there was a New York style cheesesteak.
It's easier. It's the hating aspect that got brought up.
It's much more easier to hate them for that than anything their football teams do.
So again, got off track. Soldier Field on Sunday. Bears starting quarterback Justin Fields was a Justin Fields doubter. Has improved as a passer this year. Yeah. Has been as electric in the running game as Jalen Hurts. Hats off to him. I think they could be okay next year, depending on what they do in the draft in the offseason. I think he's a guy, he'll be in his, third year of his rookie contract. I think you can make some moves, and because I don't think that's particularly a strong division. Lions, Frisky, Packers, downturn, Vikings. If you're scared of them, get a dog vibes, right? Justin Fields missed practice. We're recording this late Wednesday afternoon, early Wednesday evening. Missed practice with an undisclosed illness, I believe, today.
Yeah.
I asked you before the podcast. I told you I did not want your answer. Can you guess who is the Chicago Bears QB2 right now?
This is 100% guess. I think it's Nathan Peterman.
It is, yeah. You said it before the podcast. He's like, is it like Nathan Peterman or something? I was like, we'll do it on the show. I was like, fuck, I wish you didn't say that. Because that's a great one if you had no idea. That's if you're a fan of the opposing team.
Had no idea. That was very much a fucking guess. That's awesome.
Hassan Reddick is lining up the wide nine, just gassing up. Like right arm is all the way up, ready to lock and load, unload. He's ready. He can already. It's like when Marshall Falk would say, "If I was running and I saw two guys, I wasn't even looking at the first guy. I was looking at the second guy."
Literally the second guy, yeah.
Yeah. Hassan Reddick already saw the swim move happen. Like Brandon Graham already envisioned himself like, okay, bull rush. I just grabbed him by the chest and threw him down. Oh man, that would be a fun one. That'd be a fun one. I need BG to have 10 sacks in a season. He's yet to have. He had a 3-sack performance.
Yeah.
He's the only Eagles player I think where I have a little bit of not a fan, but a little bit of a relationship with, where like I kind of root for him to succeed, even though I try to maintain an objective opinion with the team. Super Bowl hero, as I've definitely said in the podcast or previous podcast we've done, he did a congratulatory video for my fiance and Ashley for me when we got engaged. So, and then everyone says I've talked to guys who've been on the beat for 5 years, 10 years, decades. Most personable guy, most personal player they've ever had. And I've only been there a few months, and it's very easy to see that. Was the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the Eagles this year for his community work. Not surprised about that in the absolute slightest with the kind of person he is. And man, in year 13, finally getting double-digit sacks would be so awesome for him. I would love for him to maybe get a second Pro Bowl nod too.
I was going to say, all of that, ironically, coming off a torn Achilles.
It's unbelievable. He shouldn't be doing this.
He should not be doing this at his age. With that injury, he just should not be as explosive, as quick, as impactful as he's been. He is. I mean, the guy has busted his ass to get back on the field, and it's showing. He's actually getting better as the weeks. I feel like he's actually picking up more speed as the weeks go along. I know he talked about it before.
That rotation is going to keep him fresh. There could be more Super Bowl heroics on the horizon for him with the way they've stacked this defensive line.
He is. We'll do a playoff pod, but he is, for me, that the number one most important person on that defense going into the playoffs. I think that he looks like his 2015, 2016 self. The guy is fucking amazing, and he's having an amazing year. He deserves a Pro Bowl nod, and I think going into the playoffs will be by far the most important person on that defensive line. I'm excited for him. I'm happy for him. Same as you. I've talked to people who work with him off the football field who mentioned that he is, one of the nicest, most personal people you meet. He's always willing to help, if he can. So I'm excited that he's experiencing this kind of rejuvenation after such a terrible injury.
I could talk about him forever, and the aspect of early in his career gets the bust label, the not Earl Thomas label, is playing out of position, and was it Billy Davis's scheme?
Billy Davis
was here. Yep. Brandon Gam playing fucking outside linebacker, and he kept grinding. He thought he was going to leave that offseason.
Yeah.
Goes back. Jim Schwartz kind of rejuvenates him, plays him in a perfect scheme. And we didn't really get to see what he would be like in Jonathan Gannon's scheme last year. If this season is any indication, he's just as good as he was in Jim Schwartz's. And man, just to go through what he did in terms of his perception in this city for 5, 6, 7 years to now being, I would say, the top 3 Super Bowl hero. I would say you have Foles, you have Kelsey, and then him. I think those are Mount Rushmore is 4, and I don't think we should. I think Mount Rushmore is a sketchy thing to be talking about to begin with. Sometimes people do that. I'm like, I get what you're doing. I have fun with it, but I can understand when other people be like, yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
But you get what I'm saying. From going to that to this hallowed figure in the city to a guy who 2 months from now, we might be saying, man, he has the 2 biggest defensive plays in the history of the franchise, in the history of the city.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I'm extremely excited for him. I think, like I said, it's going to be terrific playoffs coming. I can't wait.
So what's your prediction for Sunday? We do weekly predictions on Philly Voice, and I play a role. I have my own niche in the beat. There are more serious people. I kind of try to channel the vibes and voice of the fan. I think that's what I do well and works well and people connect with. But at the same time, I try not to get too over the top in the predictions I'm doing every week. This week, I was like 41-13. Like, this is just they're going to smoke the crap out of them. Like, Minshew might toss 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter for all we know.
I mean, it's the truth. I think that I don't think I have predicted a blowout at all this year. I give the Giants way too much credit. I gave other teams way too much credit. I think the Bears defense is really good. They've kept them in games. They're tough. Their linebacking core is really good. That said, though, unless you can keep up with them, unless you can keep up with that Eagles offense on the offense, scoring wise, you don't stand a chance. You just get worn down. So I think eventually it'll start off tight, but I think eventually I got 35-17.
How would you scheme up Fields defensively? From what I can tell in recent history, the Eagles really have never gone full QB spy under a gap.
No, I think
but Fields is a very unique situation, and I don't necessarily think they have a player equipped athleticism-wise and skill-wise to be that guy. I think TJ Edwards is a fantastic season. We talked about him, the way he's come up as an undrafted rookie free agent to being a key cog in this defense. I don't think that's the way they should be using him. So the one word I would have for the Eagles fans is similar to the Green Bay games and Houston games, them controlling the clock a little bit. And, your 3rd and 13 turns into a 48-yard touchdown run for Fields. I think stuff like that could happen.
And I think that, for me, probably, I'm thinking more like Nakobe Dean. They don't go traditional spy. I don't think they won't reinvent the wheel for Justin Fields either, and they shouldn't. But I think if they want to get, if he does scat for a couple of 10 or 15-yard gains, I could totally see Nakobe Dean being slotted in there for a little spy action.
I like what I've seen from him as of late.
Me too. He's definitely fast enough. He's definitely quick enough. Definitely has the instincts. I think that if they do need to dial something up a couple of times, that I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I think Kaiser walks in the offseason. Not
Yeah,
discredit to
for
him.
sure.
Finally, the Eagles hit on one of those 1 year veteran free agent linebackers.
Yep.
So has been great this season as part of a great defense. But I think Nakobe slides into that LB2 role behind
Yeah,
him
easily.
next season
Yeah.
comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that is shaping up to be a slot where the Kobe side right in, and that's cool too. I don't have any problems with that.
What would you say? We kind of wrap up here if you'd like. Number one or big Christmas holiday gifts for kids right now. What's the vibe? What are kids into?
Kids are into trains. Kids are into number one, trains. Number two, Paw Patrol big trucks. Can't
Okay.
find them anywhere. And number three, this has been a Christmas of Hot Wheel redemption. Hot Wheels has about, I want to say, 10 to 15 different variations, 10 to 15 different things. Um, so if you are a parent who, you have a son or a daughter who is into cars or is into Hot Wheels, this is the winter, or this is the season for it. I know, my son has asked for nothing but Hot Wheels. Amari is a fucking car demon, dude. He loves it. Can't get enough of them. So all he wants is cars and trucks. So it's perfect. Hot Wheels. Shout out to Hot Wheels, man. Hot Wheels been around, since before I was born. So I'm happy to see them making a strong, come up this winter.
Were you a Cars guy as a kid or kid as a kid?
Well, I was a Cars and I was a Nerf gun guy. I thought Nerf
Okay.
guns were so cool. I enjoyed Nerf guns for the fact of the whole activity and like the repetition and stuff. I like the Cars for the sound that they made. And then, I went through a really big PlayStation phase. So eventually, as I got like out into the latter part of grade school and into high school, PlayStation was definitely the main focus. But definitely starting out with cars and trucks was my thing.
Yeah, I was a big action figures guy, like
Yeah,
your X-Men and Batman, which given my
yeah,
non-sports interests, obviously makes a lot of sense now. Same as you, I was a big gamer, probably from I got an Xbox 360 for Christmas, probably the best $300 or $400 my parents ever spent,
yes,
because I played that a million hours a day from Christmas 7th grade until
yeah,
I was a junior in high school, and sold it and was trying to get a job and maybe attempt to talk to a girl or have a
yeah,
sip of beer. But I was a big gamer there and loved getting, I loved RPGs like the Elder Scrolls
yes,
games, Oblivion,
yeah.
Skyrim, Fable. I was into all those. Halo on Xbox 360. So that was it for me. And as a kid, I was into like the Wolverine, Batman,
Yep.
Joker figures, and then going crazy for those. I played. People talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Are you playing Modern Warfare? I was like, playing Modern Warfare. I played it when I was in fucking grade school.
Yeah, yeah.
What the fuck? What are you talking about?
Like, what are you talking about? Yes, hey, great.
Yeah. So that Call of Duty 4, the first one that wasn't the World War II game, I put in a bajillion friggin' hours into that. Same with Halo 3, and then all those open worlds, medieval fucking sword slashing games. I was into that stuff. So yeah, I like the holidays. I don't have any kids. I don't know if I'll end up having any kids, but I still have a soft spot for the holidays. It's more. I'm not the most religious fellow in the world, so it's not necessarily like a thing like that for me. But I do just like the celebration of friends and family, and then some good food and booze, of course, is right up my alley.
And I think it before it's obviously everything changes. Before I had kids, I loved the holidays because it was an opportunity to spend time with family and see friends.
Yeah.
We haven't really exercised the religious part of it in quite some time, but definitely I will always cherish this time of year because you do get the opportunity to see friends who you normally only get to see in the summer.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody becomes a lot more open during this time of year. Work slows down and people's schedules open up because they're not doing as much in the office, or if they're working from home. So this time of year, through New Year's, always is really special to me. I feel like there's something about when you drive around and you're seeing Christmas lights or holiday parties, or the bars, turned into, Christmas theme shit. It's fun, man. It's a fun time of year. It's a time to slow down and just have a beer and be like, damn, I'm thankful I made it to another holiday season type stuff.
Absolutely. I like that line. Just glad not just got to be glad you're alive, right? Like
Yeah.
we love to fuck around and bullshit on here, but sometimes it's like times like this holidays, it's nice to take a step back and just be like,
100%.
Hey man, I'm 28 and I'm alive and have a job I enjoy, and the rent gets paid somehow.
That's that. Right. And you can literally full stop and be like, that's what I'm thankful for the holiday season.
Yeah, so Clancy Christmas party on Saturday. Clancy family. It's a small get together. Parents, live classic South Philly right home.
South Philly. Yep.
We'll have Lola will be in attendance for sure, and future Mrs. Lola will be there. Ashley, of course. Crown Vanilla will be flowing. If Crown Vanilla wants to get in on the presented by on Pardon Forever, please let me know. And of course, we will have some ice cold Kenwood flowing, my favorite beer, Philadelphia's premier light beer. Definitely do those promotions before the podcast too. I've been doing a little intro before. So shout out to Kenwood, favorite beer. They're now being sold at the Wells Fargo Center. How fucking sick is that?
Shout out to them, man.
I saw that post. Matt texted me from Kenwood. He said, "Are you at the Sixers game?" And I was like, No, I'm not. He goes, "Oh, we're selling Kenny there now." I was like, "No shit."
Yeah.
He said, "Well, I'll Venmo you for the next time you're there. I'll buy your first Kenny." I was like, "Damn, that's good for those guys. They work really hard.
I'm happy for them. They work tirelessly.
Section 104, if you're there, I believe it is too.
Really good dudes. They've literally built it from the ground up. Everything organic with them. Root for all their success, man.
Yeah. And of course, shout out to our theme song, the Tisberries.
Shout out to the Tisberries.
Philadelphia band. Eagles Sickos, what else could you ask for?
I know. What else do you want?
What else do you want? All right. For me, we will have a podcast next week before the holidays, maybe recapping an Eagles win, and definitely, without a doubt, 100% talking about Dallas week, baby. I'm gonna have to do a solo show. No, I'll see what my dad's work schedule is. No guarantees, but I'd like to do a pod, me and him, on just the history
be really cool.
Of hating. Awesome. I've been meaning to do it the last couple of years, and it just never worked out with our work schedule. So I think that'd be something nice and different. Then we'll obviously recap Bears, Eagles, and then getting into our own bullshit too.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah,
I think he'd appreciate that.
Over some ice cold Kenwoods, maybe.
Yeah, over some ice cold Kennies.
All right, bro. Thank you. We'll talk.
Yeah,
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody. Be safe.